Game-changing developments with the war in Ukraine. Big ones. But first, this is Crisis Report. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel to keep these reports coming. Thanks. Again, from the Defense Intelligence update from the UK Ministry of Defense. This is confirmation. We already had video, and we'll take a look at that, of the incident, but we can now definitely say that it happened, and we can look at how it's happening and what it really will mean to the developments of the war. So please stay tuned if you want to know what is likely down the road with the war in Ukraine. On the 18th of November, multiple Russian and Ukrainian media outlets reported that an attack took place on the oil terminal of Novorssiysk port. I'm sure I'm butchering that, but my best Anglo attempt at it. On the Russian Black Sea coast, a major base of Russia's Black Sea fleet is close to the oil terminal. That is important. The Black Sea Fleet relocated many of its submarine operations to Novorossiysk after Sevastopol base in occupied Crimea was struck by Ukraine over the summer. Russian commanders will likely be concerned about threats to the Novorssiysk-based amphibious landing ship flotilla. These vessels are relatively vulnerable without escorts. They have assumed a more important role in supplying Russian forces in Ukraine since the Kerch Bridge was damaged in October. Full details of the incident are yet to emerge. We're going to take a look at some of the details. However, any demonstration of a Ukrainian capability to threaten Novorossiysk would highly likely represent a further strategic challenge to the Black Sea Fleet. It would also further undermine Russia's ability to reduce maritime influence in the Black Sea. Right. This analysis, as it's presented here, I'm not saying the people that made it, but this analysis presented here is very short-sighted as to the importance of these attacks. Who knew that one of the major fronts of a war between Russia and Ukraine would be a naval war? And so far, Ukraine is clearly winning this naval war, both strategically and tactically. They are winning this clearly strategically and tactically. Right. First, let's look at the attack itself. Okay, we have this from the Naval News. Again, always check everyone's, not just mine, everyone's sources, because I have contacts in the region, both on the Russian and Ukraine sides of the border regions here down there. I'm not going to specify anymore because I don't want to dox anyone. And both of them do send me interesting news stories. None of that is like, an intelligence source. They're just pointing out to me stories that they're seeing and are important from their perspective. So, so I do have people that I talk to, but we need to really look at where these sources are coming. So some naval news. Ukraine's maritime drone strikes again, reports indicate attack on, and here it is, Novorossiysk. I don't know what's correct. Sorry, I've seen it spelled both ways here. It appears that the Ukrainian maritime drone, similar to those used in attack on Sevastopol, struck Novorssiysk. This would be strategically important, showing that more of the Russian Navy is under threat. Efforts may be underway to suppress this story in Russian media. Ukrainian maritime drones regarded until now as safe. Strategic attack by Crimea. Now, we'll take a look at another map, but here's the port here. No, I didn't necessarily. Okay, yes. we can see here. This is where the port is. This is the Kerch Bridge. Over here is Sevastopol, just to give you a scale of the operation here. Now this is reportedly video of the attack, and I believe it is, and we'll take a look at why in the next bit here, but let's take a quick watch of this. No sound. This is I don't know why it's so shaky, if somebody was standing there preparing for this, or is this captured? Okay, so we just saw the strike right there. From some security camera or something, boom. So that's the strike right there. There's also reports that a spokesman for the Russian oil company Transneft has denied the attack. Some Russian reports have now been removed. Despite this, Naval News regards it as plausible and credible. This is back on November 18th. So I'm going to talk about the fog of war, right? But we have so far, and I've from multiple, including people in the region, feel that the defense intelligence updates are reasonably accurate, reasonably good. This is from H.I. Sutton's Covert Shores, very, very good source. You can follow him either on Twitter or his webpage here for in-depth looks at everything naval in the world. And as he says, he's being worked overtime trying to keep up with this. And the main part is talking about additional defenses here for the port. But this is where we're going to get to. The booms is okay. Here is where the approximate attack. We can see the naval base is right near it. Submarine burst, the harbor entrance here. Now, did they attack here because they couldn't get through here? Quite possibly. And I don't know enough about the capabilities of the USVs. What is that? Unmanned surface vessel. There, USVs, as into range, operational range. How far away can you be to guide it? How much of it is guided on onboard AI? I don't know. I think this picture here is from a Russian source to have got one of these reasonably intact that somehow ended up on the shore. So yeah, and we can see here, this looks to be a from my either some sort of exhaust port and or just the flat side. This may be a antenna for possibly satellite guidance, satellite antenna or something. I don't know, maybe for geopositioning, bringing in information, geolocating from GPS. That may be what that's doing. These obviously look to be cameras. These are probably, and this why this may have not gone boom. That could be a camera there too or something. But those might be the fuse impact detonations, come in, hit there, and so meaning come up on a gentle shore and it doesn't go boom. Very well could be. Now, so, and we can bring in a better photo here of this. Again, this is from his website, and bring it in large quality here. Okay, you recognize the photo from the video we just watched. That's sort of the brightest flash there. See the building located here and out here, and here's that building there, and there it is there, and they're saying that some of that is here. So that puts the attack out here. Why is this so important? Why is this a game changer? Now, if this is the only attack that's going to be successful, and it did minor damage at best, they say. Don't trust that, but that's what they say. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just, the propaganda of the war. And so this is a very important and I'm not going to bring it up, but I did look at several pipelines from the region come to here to load fuels on board ships. So this is an incredibly important shipping point. This is, as we saw earlier, the Russian naval base. It has some sort of boom across the front that very well may, keep these boats from coming in. We can talk about the idea of a unmanned submersible vessel, an unmanned submarine, and they're being developed. The U.S. has recently got some really good ones. But several things are incredibly important with this. Pull up here. I think we'll use this one here. Okay, again, Kerch, Novorossiysk, and Sevastopol. Well, and I have to wonder the operational range. That boat could theoretically be guided by satellite. It could be, but I don't think it's going to have the broadcast. Well, I don't know how far the broadcast ability would be. It is easier to broadcast straight up into the, into orbit than it is to broadcast through all the junk, the ground here. So how close is this boat been launched from? Because I don't think that boat, I may be wrong, but I don't think that boat was launched from Odessa and made its way to here. I think it has to be launched somehow closer. Even though, and we can see that this is a well-protected harbor here, especially again for the naval element, but it's up inside there. If they can't protect this harbor, they can't protect the boats that are moving out here, ships, whatever. And in another video, they've moved a lot of the be able to support forces in the Sea of Azov. So far, they've not been able to launch or use these boats in the Sea of Azov. But anything coming in and out here that they really need this port as a operational port here. This is very vulnerable. It's going to limit the abilities to resupply here. That is what the Department in Defense Intelligence briefings stated. What is the game changer is this is the major, the primary, and you don't just shift them because of pipelines come here for shipping various fuels, oil, whatever, to be put on ships and taken out. You don't just move it to Sochi or some other location just because you wish to. And you're being pushed down into Georgia, which is here. So this is, I think this port is under Russian or a Russian puppet control. I think so. Though it's claimed, it's part of Georgia. But there's two breakaway states that I understand. I haven't followed them last year or so, but had been there. So they can't move really past Sochi. This limits, okay. This attack is minor, no big deal, presumably. If you can keep these attacks up, if you can either attack the ships in port or attack the ships as they are entering or leaving the port and this is keeping it in Russian waters, not attacking out here. So you can attack any ships in this port because you're at war. I don't know how officially it's been declared by the various parties, but they're in a state of war functionally. So if the Ukrainians were to say sink a non-Russian ship out here, this is the Bosphorus, where you go out to the rest of the world, a non-Russian ship out here, that would be very, very bad for Ukraine, because it's widening the war. Whatever nation, could be an American, could be Iranian, could be Japanese, could be Chinese, could be whatever ships. Anything non-Russian out here would be very, very, very bad. To sink one of the exact same ship right here would have a different impact, okay? Inside what is clearly Russian waters. If they were to do that, they don't have to sink it. They have to put a hole in it, do an oil spill, make it a mess. This will mean, like for a while, just the Russian threat to shipping coming in and out of Odessa stopped all commercial shippings coming in and out of Odessa. Any of the ships that were there tried to get out, and that was affecting the world's food supplies. This is affecting the world's energy supplies, because a lot, I don't know the percentage, there are other ways out, yes, other pipelines, but this is a lot of the oil coming out of like Baku or maybe more Grozny and Maikop, and because Maikop is like in here, I think that's it here, different spelling. Grozny is over here, other oil centers of production. To cut that off, okay, all of these ships, especially all foreign ships, non-Russian, have to have insurance. Insurance companies, because I know this from looking back at Iranian attacks on shipping in the Persian Gulf, which they just did recently, another one, I think it was a tanker that got hit just in the last week. That got hit by an attack drone. But their heavy mining and attacks during the Iraqi-Iranian war for 10 years drastically pushed up insurance prices for insuring ships to go through there, to the point that neutral ships that never even docked in either Iran or Iraqi ports, but would go to Qatar or the UAE or wherever, or possibly Saudi ports or wherever, and then try to get through the Persian Gulf, because of some of it was just literally floating mines dropped off by the Iranians that indiscriminately hit ships. It was so bad that the Western powers started, and they are still doing it today because they responded to the last attack, escorting ships, doing mine clearing sweeps in front of ships going through the Straits of Hormuz. They're still operating that way because of the remnants of that war and the continuation of policies from there. So if this starts happening here, this can shut down because of the inability, or because Turkey is shutting down military ships coming through the Bosphorus, military ships. The inability of Western powers to, say, escort the vessels, the apparent inability of or unwillingness of the Russians to risk their naval forces escorting the forces. And so any non-Russian ships, the insurance is going to go through the roof, basically making it unprofitable to ship through it. Will the Russians self-insure their own vessels? Will they risk the vessels being attacked somewhere here? And a Russian vessel, a Russian flagged vessel is, a legitimate target anywhere in the Black Sea. So we have seen the Ukrainians winning both strategically and tactically the naval war in the Black Sea, and the Moskva sunk. Another, I forget the name of the ship, another ship in port in Sevastopol damaged or sunk. I remember my Ukrainian contact being very happy with that, one of them, talking to him just after that event. So that's tactically. It's like the idea that Germany tactically wins the Battle of Jutland during World War I, the big major naval battle, but strategically they lost. Because they sunk more British ships than Britain sunk of of German ships. So you might say tactically, and I would say so, tactically the Germans win that battle. Strategically, they lose because after that battle, the German High Fleet does not come out again, and Britain controls the North Sea region for the rest of the war, for everything but a few covert commerce raiders and submarines. So they're able to control the North Sea, so strategically they win. Now here, tactically, we've seen the Moskva and other ships damaged or sunk, because they've also sunk in port some of the amphibious warfare vessels. I've seen photos of them at the bottom of harbors. You can see the outline of them, that they're sunk in the harbor. And strategically, the Russians had taken, and I'm blanking on the name, the island out here. They've withdrawn from there. They've withdrawn operating out here as a normal procedure. They've withdrawn much of their naval vessels to here. They're building they're reactivating a Cold War era underground naval base, developing it, putting it back into operation. But because of the attack that made it through all the defenses at Sevastopol, they've shifted their forces here, and they've been attacked here. So they are no longer dominant at the sea here, primarily because they're unwilling to risk hugely expensive ships to something cheap like this. So now the Moskva was I do believe, because I'm not sure, a land-based anti-shipping missile that came in and hit it, but that is still a whole hell of a lot cheaper than the Moskva itself. So they're not willing to risk their naval vessels to being lost to cheap effect. So they've lost control of the Black Sea. It is at best a contested, from the Russian perspective, a contested battle zone. They may still very much have control of the Sea of Azov, but the Black Sea, they've lost control of it. The Ukrainians can, if they can cut shipping, commercial shipping in this region by attacking commercial vessels in either import or immediately outside of port. Whatever their control, and that's sort of a mystery to me, where they're controlling these vessels from, where they're launching them from, controlling if they can hook up via. They better be thanking Elon Musk for the use of Starlink right now. Okay, just keep that in mind. But they're launching these vessels from something. The Ukrainians very likely have real-time access to satellite information as to what ships are in port, what ships are getting ready to leave port. They may have intelligence on shipping schedules to know when a ship is likely to be leaving, to be able to attack it immediately outside of the port, so as to keep it, quote-unquote, within the war zone, within national waters of Russia or Crimea. That will, like I say, cripple Russia's economic shipping in this area, which will economically cripple Russia even more. That is the game changer. It is not just forcing back the military aspects of Russian naval usage, but going after commercial and particularly oil tankers. That can have a major outsized effect on Russia and Russia's ability to continue to fighting the war. That is the game-changing aspect. Thanks for making it this far. I'm sure I've earned your like button licking if you have made it this far in. If you have any thoughts on this, any information you want to point out, I would greatly appreciate it. Maybe I'll remember, no. If you post something in there, I'll definitely take a look at it and to see if it's worthy of looking, making a video on. Thanks. Next report will come when I see something important enough to let you know about it.